If you want to know the reason I ended up divorced, it's hard to explain. Last week was my birthday, and I went through the whole day and nobody remembered my birthday. My wife, my kids, my coworkers, my boss, nobody remembered it was my birthday. And I was feeling pretty down about the whole thing. And then at the end of the day, my secretary said, "Hey, you want to come to my house for birthday cake after work?" And it just made my day. Somebody finally remembered my birthday. So I said, "Sure, I'd love to." And we got in the door, and she smiled and looked at me and said, "I'll be back in 5 minutes. I got to go back to the bedroom." And I said, "Okay." And 5 minutes later, she came running out of the bedroom, along with my wife and my kids and my boss and my friends. I was the one that got the birthday surprise. I was sitting there naked on the couch. I know more than one person in Texas who would swear that their dog or cat or whatever pet is their best friend. They'll go on for hours about how loyal they are and how obedient they are, and they'll do anything they want. I can't help but wonder why these people always make me pick them up at the airport. One day at school, little Johnny's best friend told him every adult has a secret, and if they think you know what their secret is, then you can get them to do anything you want. Little Johnny thought about it, and he went home and he went to his mom and said, "I know you've got a secret." And his mom looked at him and she was terrified. She gave him $20 and said, "Here's $20 as long as you don't tell anybody." And he thought, hey, that worked great. When his dad got home, he met him at the front door and he said, "I know you've got a secret." And his dad looked at him and his dad was scared. And he says, "Okay, listen, here's $40. It's all I've got. Just promise you won't tell anybody." And he says, "I promise," and off he goes. And then the next morning, he's on his way out going to school, and he sees the mailman, and he's thinking, this worked pretty good. He walks up to the mailman, and he smiles, and he says, "I know your secret." And the mailman said, "Come hug me, son." Life is all about perspective. From my ex-wife's perspective, she divorced me for cheating. From my perspective, my got fired for having a part-time job. A woman placed an ad in the newspaper and said, "I'm looking for a man with 3 qualities. He won't beat me up, he won't run away from me, and he's great in bed." And the next day, the doorbell rang, and she sees a guy sitting on the stoop that has no arms and no legs. And she's not even sure what to say. She looks at him and says, "Hello?" And he looks up at her and he says, "Hi, I'm Steve. I've got everything that you could hope for. I've got no arms, so I can't beat you, and I've got no legs, so I can't run away." And she looks at him and says, "Well, how do I know you're great in bed?" And he smiles and he says, "Well, I rang the doorbell, didn't I?" That was terrible. A man gets on a plane and he's got 6 kids. And he gets them all settled in their seats, and he gets settled down into his seat. And a woman looks across from him, and she's just loving all these kids. And she smiles at him and says, "Are these all yours?" And he says, "No, ma'am. I work for the condom company. These are all customer complaints." There's a friend I know who couldn't figure out what to get his wife for her birthday. They'd been married a couple of years, and he'd bought her cars and jewelry and everything like that. And he was just completely out of ideas. He talks to a friend about it, and the friend says, "You know what you should do? You should give her a coupon for 2 hours worth of great sex with no rules." And he says, "Hey, that'd be great. Everybody wins." And so he gets the certificate all printed up, very nice and pretty. And when he gets home, he hands her the certificate. And she says, "Hey, that's the greatest thing I've ever gotten for my birthday." And says, "See you in 2 hours," and goes running out the door. A prostitute walks up to a guy in a bar and says, "It's your special day. I'll do anything you want for $100. The only rule is you have to say what you want in 3 words. And the guy looks at her and smiles a little bit and drops $100 on the bar, and he says, "That sounds fun. Paint my house."